ఇంటర్మీడియట్ విద్యారంగంలో అగ్రగామి మన ఎన్ఎస్ఆర్ ఇంపల్స్ ఎడ్యుకేషన్ ఇన్స్టిట్యూషన్. ఐఐటి జేఈఈ అయినా నీట్ అయినా తిరుగులేని విద్యా సంస్థ ఎన్ఎస్ఆర్ ఇంపల్స్.
Good morning. So today's topic is limiting reagent based problem. Let us start with limiting reagent based problems. What is a limiting reagent and what happens in this kind of problems? In this kind of problems, the amount of two reactants are provided. So they will provide the amount of two reactants. Amount of two reactants will be provided. The amount of one of the product is to be calculated. So what we know? We know the amount of two reactants and we have to find the amount of a product. Now why they are providing the amount of two reactants? Out of these two reactants, one of the reactant will be present in less amount than that is compared to the mole ratio. So out of two reactants, one reactant will be present in less amount and the other reactant will be present in more amount when compared to the mole ratio or mass ratio. So the reactant which is present in less amount will be consumed as the reaction takes place. The reactant which is present in less quantity is completely consumed as the reaction proceed. So as the reaction proceed, one of the reactant which is present in less quantity compared to the molar mass ratio according to stoichiometry, it is completely consumed. After that, the reaction do not proceed. That means a limiting reagent limits the extent to which a reaction can proceed. So the amount of the product should be calculated based upon the limiting reagent. So what is a limiting reagent? A reactant which is present in less quantity and completely consumed as the reaction proceeds. It limits the extent to which a reaction proceeds. It limits it decides the amount of the products. Therefore, the amount of the product should be calculated on the basis of limiting reagent, but not on the basis of the reactant which is present in excess, because the reactant which is present in excess will not react completely, because the one that is present in less quantity, once it is completely consumed, irrespective of the presence of other reactant, the reaction will not proceed. So let us take one example. A, B gives C. Say they react in say 1:2 mole ratio. 1:2 mole ratio. Suppose A is taken in 10 moles and B is also taken as 10 moles. Let us assume moles I am taking, right? So 1 mole of A requires 2 moles of B to form 1 mole of C. This is stoichiometric ratio. This is given ratio. So 10 moles of A require how many moles of B? 20 moles. This is necessary. If 10 moles of A has to completely react, then the number of moles of B required is 20. But actually how much is present? 10. Only 10 moles are present. How much is required for complete reaction? 20. Therefore, B is limiting reagent because it is present in less quantity. Or you can do like this. For 2 moles you require 1 mole. For 10 moles you require 5 moles. So actually 5 moles of A is sufficient for complete consumption of B, but there are 10 moles. So 5 moles of A will remain unreacted. Now the amount of C formed should be decided based upon B, but not based upon A. For 2 moles you will get 1 mole, but actually how many moles are available for us? Only 10 moles. So for 2 you will get 1, that means half. For 10 you have to get 5 moles. But if you calculate based upon this is the correct answer. But if you calculate based upon this, you will get 10, but you will never get 10, because to get 10 moles there should be 20 moles of B, but actually how much amount are available? Only 10 moles. So answer should be 5. So limiting reagent is a substance that is present in less quantity and that limits the extent to which a reaction can takes place. Problems to understand the limiting reagent concept. First one, how many grams of ammonia will form? How many grams of ammonia will form by combination of 3 grams of hydrogen and 7 grams of nitrogen? So let us see. First, identify the reactants. Hydrogen and nitrogen combine to form ammonia. So that is the first thing. So write nitrogen, hydrogen gives ammonia. Next thing is you have to balance 2 nitrogens, 6. So all are gases. Right. Now next mole ratio, immediately mole ratio, nothing is there, therefore 1 mole of nitrogen combines with 3 moles of hydrogen to form 2 moles of ammonia. When 1 mole of nitrogen combines with 3 moles of hydrogen, you will get 2 moles of ammonia, right. Now what is given, if you see carefully, 3 grams, 7 grams, mass of 2 reactants are given and you have to find mass of a product. So we require mass relationship, right. So convert this mole into mass. 1 mole of nitrogen, 1 mole means weight equal to molecular weight of nitrogen is 28 grams. 1 mole of nitrogen is nothing but 28 grams. 3 moles of hydrogen, 1 mole of hydrogen is 2 grams, 3 moles of hydrogen will be 6 grams, 3 into 2, 6. 1 mole of ammonia is 17 grams, 2 moles of ammonia 34 grams, 2 into 17 grams. This is the mass ratio, stoichiometric mass ratio. Now what is given? We have 7 grams of nitrogen, 3 grams of hydrogen. So how to proceed? You have to find the amount of the ammonia. Now which one we have to consider as limiting reagent? First identify the limiting reagent, right. So what I have to do? I have to use this mass ratio because these are masses. So let us write like this, nitrogen, hydrogen. For 28 grams you require 6 grams, right. 28 grams of nitrogen require 6 grams of hydrogen for complete reaction. We have 7 grams. We have 7 grams. Then how many grams of ammonia is required for complete reaction of ammonia? 7 grams of nitrogen. How many grams of nitrogen, how many grams of hydrogen is required for complete reaction of 7 grams of nitrogen? So this is decreased by 4, 4 7 28, 6 by 4 that is 3 by 2, you require 1.5 grams. But how much are available for us? 3. Therefore 3 is greater than 1.5. That means for complete combustion of nitrogen, only 1.5 grams of hydrogen is sufficient, but we have 3 grams, that means we have more than that is required for complete reaction of nitrogen. Therefore nitrogen is limiting reagent. Or what is the other way? So this is the other way, 26, 6. I am taking same mass ratio. We have 3 grams of hydrogen. For complete reaction of 3 grams of hydrogen, how many grams of nitrogen are required? So it is decreased by how many times? 2 times. So 6 by 2 you will get 3. So 28 by 2 you will get 14 grams. You require 14 grams. 3 grams of hydrogen for complete reaction require 14 grams. But how many grams are available given in the problem? 7. So 7 is less than 14. So nitrogen is limiting reagent. Nitrogen is present in less quantity compared to the other reactant. Therefore, the reaction will take place as long as nitrogen is available. So nitrogen limits the extent to which the reaction can proceed. The amount of ammonia should be calculated based upon nitrogen only because it is a limiting reagent. So, based upon this calculation, I can conclude that nitrogen is the limiting reagent. So, nitrogen is right. So, hydrogen is present in more quantity compared to nitrogen. Right. So, in what ratio these two react? 1:2. Since masses are given, 28 moles requires 34 grams. 28 grams gives 34 grams. But actually, how many we have? Only 7 grams. So, 28 grams of nitrogen can produce, on reaction with hydrogen, can produce 2 into 17 grams of ammonia. But we have only 7 grams of nitrogen. So, this is equal to 7 into 2 into 70 by 28. So, this is 2 times. We will get 8.5 grams of ammonia. Now, so identifying the limiting reagent is key to solve these kind of problems. Next, what volume of chlorine gas will be liberated at STP when 2.61 grams of manganese dioxide is reacted with HCl? So, first identify the reactants. MnO2 reacts with HCl to produce Cl2. Now, you will be able to write the reaction only after studying the respective groups. So, for the time being, you have to understand that writing reactions is little complicated for you because you haven't studied the preparation properties of chlorine. So, manganese dioxide reacts with HCl. So, do not worry if such problems are there, they will provide the equations. Right. But after completion of second year, you should be in a position to write. So, it is oxidizing agent, releases chlorine gas, it undergoes reduction, +4 2 +2 and of course water, 2H2O, 4 hydrogens, so 4 chlorines. I think it is balanced. Right. Now, nothing is there. So, 1 mole of MnO2, 4 moles of HCl. 1 mole of MnO2 combines with 4 moles of HCl to give 1 mole of Cl2. Remaining are not necessary according to the problem. Right. Convert into mass because here mass is given, here also mass is given. For chlorine you require volume. For this you require volume, but for these two you require mass. 1 mole of MnO2, manganese 55, atomic weight manganese 55, oxygen 16, 2 into 16 32. So, you will get 87 grams. 87 grams, 4 into 36.5 gives volume asked. So, this is a gas 22.4 liters at STP. So, I haven't done anything. Writing equation is little tricky because you have to study the properties of chlorine, which you will study in second year, right. If such kind of problems are asked, they will provide the equation for the timing, so nothing to worry. So, you should be in a position to balance it. We will study how to balance the equation in the next concept. You should be in a position to calculate the molecular weights by now, right, if they provide the atomic weights. So, from mole ratio I have calculated the mass and volume relation. Next, 2 masses are given. What is given? What is given? 2.61 grams and this is 2.92 grams. First we have to identify the limiting reagent. So, let us calculate the limiting reagent first. MnO2 HCl 1, okay, directly I will write 87 grams requires 4 into 36.5. So I am taking I am calculating with respect to this 2.61 grams ki enta kavali. So for 2.61 grams, how much is required? So you require, this is equal to 4.38 grams. But how much is available? 2.92. So 2.92 is less than 4.38. That means for complete reaction of 2.61 grams of MnO2, the amount of HCl required is 4.38 grams. But how much is available? Only 2.92. That means HCl will be completely consumed before the consumption of MnO2. Therefore, HCl is limiting reagent. Or what is the other way? So I can write like this: MnO2 HCl 87 grams requires 4 into 36.5 grams, but how much is given? 2.92. Now for complete combustion of 2.92 grams of HCl, for complete combustion of 2.92 grams of HCl, how many grams of MnO2 is required? So you require around 1.74 grams. This is 1.74 grams, right? But how much is available? 2.61. So 2.61 is greater than 1.74. So when 2.92 grams of HCl reacts, it will only combine with 1.74 out of 2.61. So even after complete consumption of HCl, there will be some unreacted MnO2. How much? 2.61 minus 1.74. Therefore, HCl is completely consumed before MnO2. Hence, HCl becomes limiting reagent. Since HCl is the limiting reagent, now HCl is limiting reagent. So the amount of the product, that is chlorine, should be calculated based upon HCl, right? See here, 87 grams can produce 22.4 liters of chlorinate STP. Sorry, right, with HCl, right? 4 into 36.5 grams can produce 22.4 liters at STP. We have only 2.92 grams. So 4 into 36.5 grams of HCl on reaction with MnO2 can produce 22.4 liters of Cl2 at STP, right? We have only 2.92 grams of HCl. So what I will get here is 22.4 into 2.92 by 4 into 36.5 liters at STP. So it will be around 0.448. Reactions in succession based problems. So what happens? In this type of problems, two different reactions will be given. Two different reactions will be given, but these two reactions have a common component in them. Once again, two different reactions having a common component will be given. Next, they will provide the amount of one of the reactant, say in first reaction. They will ask you to find the amount of one of the component in second reaction. They will provide the amount of a component in one of the reaction. They will ask you to find the amount of one of the component in second reaction. Remember, these two are different reaction. What is common in them? A component. It can be reactant or product. So what we have to do? Find the relation between given component, common component. Keep it aside. Second equation. Find the relation between required component, common component. Using this relation, you have to find the amount of the component that is asked to find. Let us take one example. Suppose A and B react to form C and D. This is reaction 1. Reaction 2. C gives B. Reaction 1, reaction 2, two different reactions, but there is one common component. What is the common component? Here the common component is C. Here it is reactant, here it is product, doesn't matter, but there should be one common component. Say the quantity of A is given. You will be asked to find, say, the quantity of P. There is no direct relation between A and P. So what you have to find? Find the relation between A and C. 1 mole of A stoichiometrically equivalent to 2 moles of C. Find the relation between common component and required product, required component. 1 mole of C, say, stoichiometrically equivalent to 1 mole of P. Right? Here we have 2, here we have 1. So 2 moles of C will be stoichiometrically equivalent to 2 moles of P. From these two, what I can write now? 1 mole of A stoichiometrically equivalent to 2 moles of C. Here 2 moles of C is stoichiometrically equivalent to 2 moles of P. So what I can write? 1 mole of A. So we are finding the indirect relation by using a common component. So once again, two different reactions are given, both having a common component. Next step, the amount of one of the reactant in a reaction will be given. The amount of one of the component in another reaction is to be calculated. Find the relation between the given component, common component. Find the relation between required component and common component. Right? Using these two, calculate the required amount. How many grams of ethylene? So ethylene C2H4 may be burned completely by the oxygen gas, that is nothing but O2, produced by decomposition of 49 grams of potassium chloride, KClO3. Right? So there are two different reactions. Combustion of ethylene is one reaction, decomposition of KClO3 is another reaction. So decomposition of KClO3, let us write the given reaction. So what is decomposition? A substance on heating decomposes into two or more substance with at least one in elemental state. So these things we will study in stoichiometry itself. So 3 oxygens, 2 oxygens, 3, 2, 2, it is balanced. So when this compound decomposes, you will get oxygen. The oxygen released from this reaction is used to burn ethylene. This is nothing but combustion reaction. From where you are getting oxygen? From here, to form 2 CO2, as I said in the last class, it is H2O liquid, 2 H2O, 2 plus 4, 6, so 3. So for 1 mole of ethylene you require 3 moles of oxygen. How many grams? 1 mole, 2 into 12, 24, 4, 28 grams we have. So 3 into 32 grams. So if you have 3 into 32 grams, then you can oxidize 28 grams. So this oxygen is obtained from this reaction. So from here 2 moles of KClO3 gives 3 moles of O2. Potassium, let us find its molecular weight. Potassium 39, chlorine 35.5, 3 into 16, 3 into 16 is 48. So 0.5, 9, 7, 10, 17, 22, 12, sorry. 3 plus 3, 6, 10, 11, 12. 17 plus 5, 22, 2, 2, 3 plus 3, 6 plus 4, 10 plus 2, 12, 122.5. So this is 2 into 122.5 grams can produce 3 into 32 grams. But actually we have only 49 grams. How many grams? 49 grams. So when 49 grams of KClO3 decomposes, how many grams of oxygen will be produced? How many grams? 49 into 3 into 32 by 2 into 122.5 grams. So this much amount of oxygen is available. So it burns how many grams of ethylene? So amount of C2H4 can be burnt is equal to, cross multiply, 28 into 2 into 122.5, sorry, 49 into 3 into 32, 2 into 122.5, this come to the denominator. So this is, can eliminate these two. So I get around 5.6 grams. So let us do in simplified form this problem. 1 liter of aqueous solution contain 31.6 grams of KMnO4. The solution is to be decolorized by passing SO2. So what is the meaning of decolorization that we will study in the respective chemistry? Calculate the amount of iron pyrites which should be roasted to provide the necessary amount of SO2. When you take iron pyrites and oxidize it, you will get SO2. This SO2 released here is utilized to decolorize KMnO4. KMnO4 possesses purple color. So when it reacts with SO2, it forms Mn plus 2 compound. So due to this chemical reaction, its color will disappear. So from what is the common component? SO2. So from this component is given. Okay. Decolorize, provide the necessary amount of SO2. Okay. So calculate the amount of iron pyrites. So this compound we have to find. FeS2 weight we have to find. KMnO4 weight is given. The common component is SO2. From first reaction, what I can write? 2 moles of KMnO4 stoichiometrically equivalent to 5 moles of SO2. 5 moles of SO2. From second reaction, what I can write? 4 moles of FeS2 stoichiometrically equivalent to 8 moles of SO2. So the common component SO2, right? So So we require 5 moles of SO2. So 8 moles we know. For 5 moles how much, let us write. So for 5 moles of SO2, so it becomes 5 by 8. If I multiply with 5 by 8, 8 will 5. So here also I have to multiply with 5 by 8 for 1. So we will get 5 by 2 moles of FeS2. Now from these two what I can write? 2 moles of KMnO4 stoichiometrically equivalent to 5 moles of SO2, which is stoichiometrically equivalent to 5 moles of FeS2. So in short, 2 moles of KMnO4 stoichiometrically equivalent to 5 moles of FeS2. 2 moles of KMnO4, potassium 39, converting into mass, manganese 55, oxygen 4 into 16, 64, 9, 9, 18, 6, 4, 10, 15, 158. So 2 into 158 grams stoichiometrically equivalent to 5 by 2. Iron 56, 2 into sulfur 32, 32, 32, 64, 10, 12, 120 grams. 2 in 5 by 2 into 120 grams of FeS2. Sulfur atomic weight is 32. There are 2 sulfurs, 2 into 32, 64. But actually how many grams of KMnO4 are available? Only 31.6 grams. How much you will get? So this is equal to amount of iron pyrite is FeS2, that should be roasted, right? So cross multiply. So if you simplify this, fine. You get 30 grams. Percentage based calculations. First one is percentage purity calculations. So what is the meaning of percentage purity? Suppose you went to a shop and brought 1 kg rice, 1 kg rice which is 100% pure. That means it doesn't contain any stones, 100% rice, and you have cooked it. You went to another shop, right? Here also you brought 1 kg rice, right? It contains a 50% pure. It is 50% pure. That means 50% stones are present. 50% stones are present. So when you cook rice which is 100% pure and which is 50% pure, 1 kg rice you brought, one is 50% pure, another is 100% pure. So where does the amount of rice you cooked, will it be same or different? The answer is obvious. If it is 50% pure, that means 50% rice, 50% stones. If you remove the stones, the mass will reduce to 500 grams. Therefore, the amount of rice here you cook will be less compared to this. Or let us assume another one. Say brought 2 chocolates, right? 10 grams. Say this is also 10 grams. Say this is made in India, let us assume. Say this is in China, right? So this is 100% pure. So imagine that if you eat 1 gram chocolate, say you will get 1 calorie energy. By eating 1 gram of chocolate, you will get 1 calorie of energy. Our China chocolate is say 50% pure. So if you eat this chocolate, since it is 100% pure, that means 10 grams, all 10 grams is chocolate itself. So you are expected to get 10 calories of energy. Since this is 50% pure, right, the impurity do not contribute to any energy. So only 5 grams of chocolate is present. 5 grams is impurity, therefore it will provide only 5 calories of energy, because out of 10 grams there is only 5 grams of chocolate, remaining 5 grams is impurity, right. So how do you find such percentage purity? So I hope that you have understood the meaning of percentage purity. So a sample will be given which is impure substance. The meaning of impure substance is it contains pure substance plus impurity. Pure substance plus impurity. So if some reactions are given, only pure substance will give those reaction, but not impurity. Impurity will not contribute anything to the reactions, or they just present, they just contribute to the total mass, but do not contribute to any chemical change. So this is the formula: percentage purity of a substance is equal to weight of pure substance, weight of pure substance by weight of impure substance or weight of sample into 100. So this is the percentage purity of the substance. Right, to calculate the percentage purity or percentage purity related. First problem: when 1.25 grams of a sample of chalk is strongly heated, 0.44 grams CO2 gas is produced. Find the percentage purity of CaCO3 chalk sample. So first let us understand. You have a chalk sample which contains pure CaCO3 plus impurity. So chalk sample weight is given 1.25 grams. To find percentage purity of CaCO3, percentage purity of CO3, we require weight of CaCO3. We have to find the weight of pure CaCO3. For that, what information is given? When you heat this chalk, you are getting how many grams of CO2? 0.44 grams. Now, out of these two components, which component can provide CO2? The answer is CaCO3. We don't know the composition of impurity. We have to assume that it do not contribute to any CO2 on heating. It remains as such. So only CaCO3 gives CO2 gas. How CaCO3 gives CO2 gas? Calcium carbonate on strong heating gives CaO plus CO2. So this is solid, this is also solid, whereas this is gas. So upon writing the balanced equation and writing the mole ratio, so mass is given. We also require mass. 1 mole of CaCO3. Calcium atomic weight 40. Carbon atomic weight 12. 3 into oxygen atomic weight. 3 into oxygen atomic weight is 16. 3 into 16 is 48. 10, 8, 9, 10, 100. So 1 mole is nothing but 100 grams. Can produce carbon dioxide 44 grams. 100 grams of pure CaCO3 on heating can produce 44 grams of CO2. But actually how many grams it is providing? It is produce 0.44 grams. So how many grams of CaCO3 should be heated? To get 44 grams, you require 100 grams of CaCO3, but we have only 0.44 grams of CO2. So how much weight? The weight of pure CaCO3 is equal to 100 into 0.44 by 44. So here it is 1 gram. That means out of this 1.25 gram, 1 gram is pure CaCO3, remaining 0.25 grams must be the weight of impurity. So percentage purity of CaCO3 in the sample is equal to weight of pure CaCO3, weight of pure CaCO3, weight of chalk sample, weight of chalk sample into 100. So this is equal to 1 by 1.25 into 100. So 100 by 125, 25 5s are 24, 4s are 4 by 5, 4 by 5 is 0.8, that is nothing but it is 80% pure. So the chalk sample is 80% pure. That means for every 100 grams there is 80 grams of CaCO3, pure CaCO3. So coming to the next problem, calculate the amount of 80% pure NaOH sample required to react completely with 21.3 grams of Cl2 in hot condition. So we have sample NaOH which contains pure NaOH plus impurity. Calculate the amount of 80% pure. So its percentage pure is given, but we require its mass, which is 80%. To find its weight, we require the mass of pure NaOH. The mass manaku kavali. Once you know this can be calculated using this percentage purity. So to find this, what is the chemical reaction given? NaOH reacts with hot chlorine. Hot chlorine. Impurity will not react with chlorine. So impurity doesn't participate or undergo any chemical change. So let us write NaOH Cl2 reaction in hot condition. Right? Cl2 reacts with NaOH in hot condition to give NaCl, NaClO3. So how to write all this? We'll study in respective chapter, that is 7th A group. Since I have written number of times, you can write directly 6 hydrogen, therefore 3. It is balanced. So 3 moles of chlorine reacts with 6 moles of NaOH. 3 into 71 grams require 6 into 40 grams. So 3 into 71 grams of pure chlorine require 6 into 40 grams of NaOH. But how much chlorine we have? 21.3 requires how much amount of pure NaOH? So weight of pure NaOH is equal to 6 into 40 into 21.3, 3 into 71. So if I remove this 3 1 ja, 3 7 ja, this will be cancelled. You will get 24 grams. So weight of pure NaOH is 24 grams. Percentage purity of NaOH equal to weight of pure NaOH by weight of NaOH sample into 100. So 80% is given, that is 80 by 100. that. So this 180, weight of pure sample is how much we got, 24, weight of sample into 30 grams. So to get, you have to take 30 grams of 80% sample NaOH to get 21.3 grams of, to react with 21.3 grams of chlorine in hot conditions.